Jarand, tell us about your oil macro outlook. Could low oil prices help to get a bigger market share for the main producers in the Middle East, in the North America, or in Russia? Who are the winners or losers in this situation?
Yes. Well, currently, I think all are losers in the sense that the oil price is so low that it's not really any profit left for investors or for the government. But of course, the whole situation started because US, the shale, was gaining a lot of market share since they found this big new resource of new oil and invested heavily in that in the years from 2011 until 2014. And then they had been able to grow their market share very significantly. And when this happened at the same time as also the demand was weaker in 2014, we had a situation with a huge oversupply. And then instead of protecting the oil price, Saudi Arabia this time decided to defend their market share and rather start a volume war, which was the key cause of the oil price collapse. And after, when also Iran was invited back to the international community and the sanctions lifted, and Iran then also supported by Russia, they didn't want to lose their market shares. So that's why they also joined the volume war. So both Russia and Iran and Saudi Arabia is defending their market share. And as I said, currently everybody is losers, but maybe for the long term, these nations that sustain the low price or low oil price the longest with high production levels will of course gain market shares and hopefully then make a profit if the cycle turns, which is very likely that it will do, because this is a cycle. Means that it's not a structural shift in the oil business, that the demand is taken away. It's just that we have overinvested and too much oil in the market these days. So, yeah.
What are your prospects for oil at low prices? When we will see $100 for barrel again? Do we see the light at the end of the tunnel?
Yes, I think so. As I just said, this is a commodity industry and this is a commodity cycle. So eventually the oil price will return because we are currently investing far too little into the future oil. So after a few years, we will get too little oil in the market. And the consequence then will be that the oil price will really increase. My title, I think, for what I will talk about here today in this information session is that when will we see three-digit oil price again? And I think my conclusion is that in 2020 we will be back at this level.
What are the main areas of exploration and production spending in 2016 and beyond?
First of all the oil companies this year do whatever they can to cut cost. So that is a priority number one. And they don't launch many new projects. They just try to limit as much as possible the spending, because the investors expect them to do that to limit the losses due to the very low oil price. So this is the main focus. So exploration is cut again like 30%, also the same cuts last year. So versus the prices in 2014, many companies has more than halved their exploration budgets. And in terms of new field development, only the best, biggest, most robust fields are really developed these days. But one example of a field that is really having high speed these days is the big new discovery in Norway called Johan Sverdrup, which is more than 2 billion barrels oil field with 4 big platforms And this is being developed now at full speed by Statoil. I just mentioned Johan Sverdrup, which is the biggest offshore development at the moment. But we also have 3 big discoveries in the Barents Sea over the last 5 years, which is called the Johan Castberg, the Alta-Gotha, and the Wisting field. And all of these fields, I believe, will be developed. They will be finally approved for development within the next 3 years, maybe one of them already next year. And this is, I think, very interesting also for Russia, because it shows that even in the Arctic waters, it's a big interest to develop big new fields. It's some challenges related to icing and distance, but I think the companies have good plans for overcome these challenges also. So I think that is the most exciting new things that is happening. Also on the exploration side, Barents Sea is very, very exciting because it's the 23rd concession rounds, where you have a lot of blocks in the eastern part of the Barents Sea that will be awarded just now in a few months. So that will be very exciting to see. It's the 26 companies that are participating in this round, including some Russian companies. So I think it's high expectations for that. Also for the Norwegian Sea and North Sea, in the southern part of Norway, it's steady activity. It's a lot of new fields going to come on stream very soon. That started the development in 2012. So they will come into the market now, like Edvard Grieg, Martin Linge, Aasta Hansteen. Some of them are a bit delayed, but this will also increase the production capacity of Norway, actually. So, but exploration-wise, it was very good years from 2010, 11, 12, and 13 and 14, but 2015 and 2016, unfortunately, has not been as successful.
What is your forecast for the renewables? What do you think about this?
Yes, well, I think it's very important to have a focus on renewables and to build out both solar power and in some places also wind power. It's been a boost in investments for some years due to subsidies. It was in many countries that is reduced when you take away the subsidies. But of course, from climate perspective, it's very important to still see a strong growth. And solar is currently competing well in countries with a lot of sun, with high power prices, and not too much, dust or desert conditions in the area, because that is actually polluting the solar panels. So just like a market like South Africa is currently very competitive with solar. I think the solar panel prices has to go further down to see this as a general global rollout from those areas that have a lot of sun, of course. But I think we will see double-digit growth for many decades going forward, which also is very important to be able to sufficiently fast enough replace especially coal as a power plant, as a source of power production. So I think it will grow, and I hope it will grow, but still it will, for example, not replace neither gas or oil over the next many decades. So it will be a combination of all these sources at the same time for the 2030s and the 2040s.
Jarand, thank you for your comments.
Thank you.